it's Sydney, and if my freshman year was a movie, then my sophomore year was like a freaking PowerPoint. I'm not saying it was one of the bland, default, generic PowerPoint themes. I'm saying it was more like a Prezi that you come across when you're writing your final paper, and it's really chaotic and odd and nothing really flows together, but you still manage to find good moments of info that you inevitably use in your final college paper, even though some 5th grader probably wrote it. It was like that. If y'all are new here, I go to Penn State. I finished year 2 like a month ago, and last year I did a recap video of my freshman year, and a lot of people really liked it and wanted me to keep that up throughout my 4 years, so here we go. Another year of torture down, 2 more to go. Unless I don't graduate on time, but I really hope for my wallet's sake that I do. Before we get into the video, I do want to address the current state of the world right now, because I am both in awe of the people that are doing something and disgusted by the people who aren't. And I just wanted to say, please use your privilege and your platform for good. Black Lives Matter. I will have petitions and ways to donate down below. Please take 30 seconds out of your day to check them out. Kicking things off in August, I moved into my very first apartment, and it did not exactly go as planned. I ended up sleeping in a pool of my own sweat because we did not have electricity to power my 2 little baby fans. I carried a metal bedside table over my head through a storm, and I did not properly attach a giant ass clock to my wall, so it fell, shattered, and then shattered my hopes and dreams, and I had a mental breakdown, but it was fine. Even with all of that stress and drama, I would rather experience my sophomore year move-in 100 times over than have to live with my freshman year crusty, dusty roommates, you know, the pillow killers, ever again. So I would say overall, 10 out of 10, great. And who could forget our infamous silly week trip to the hospital? We all sat there taking syllabus quizzes as Emily had a CT scan, and they never really figured out what was wrong, But fortunately, on the very last day of August, Penn State football played their very first home game, and we played Idaho, also known as Idaho. And my Penn State boys said dub season, 79-7, go back to making potatoes, and all was right in the world. Or at least in my head, because football is literally all that matters in there. In September, reality. At Penn State, to graduate within my field of study, the average amount of credits you need to take is 15 per semester. And I said, you know what would be fun? Not doing that and taking 19. To prove my idiocy to you even further, I went to a Jonas Brothers concert in the middle of the week, on a Wednesday to be specific, and I had a 9 a.m. the next day. And I regret nothing. For real though, school really did start to hit in September, and I actually had 4 exams in 1 week at the end of September. Accounting, econ, Jewish studies / my history of the Holocaust class, and... But like, yeah, 4 exams. Who cares? What really matters is that Penn State football was 4-0 at this point, baby. Another spicy September sliver of embarrassment story was whenever me and my friend Vivian went to a volleyball game. And there I was, just innocently cheering them on. Yes girl, bump that ish! When this intern for Penn State Athletics approaches us and was like, hey, would either of you want to publicly embarrass yourself and do this game? And we were like, no. But then this man has the audacity to pull at the dark, cold little heartstrings of mine and say, oh, it's just this 9-year-old girl's birthday and we just need someone to go up against her and lose, and I was really hoping. Then my friend Vivian interrupts him and goes, she'll do it. So here it is, Vivian, the video of me getting my booty cheeks kicked by a little 9-year-old girl on a giant bouncy ball in front of a crowd. My mental state in October can be described as half vibing, half dying. I think two perfect parallels to illustrate this would be Emily's slideshow about how she's not doing well and me falling up the stairs after a late night at the library, but then beating Michigan during the whiteout game and being hella freaking hype. So hype that students literally ripped a bleacher off of where it sat. In November, we celebrated Halloween. Yes, I realize that's normally in October, but college is special. I naturally went as Abraham Lincoln, Emily went as George Washington, and we had Taylor as our Secret Service, you know, protect us from all the frat boys. I'm not gonna lie, I took several L's in the month of November. The first being the fact that I got one of those tests back and I failed it. But even worse than that, Penn State football decided to go ahead and lose twice. The first being the game at Minnesota that I watched from the comfort of my own apartment while I was basically scraping the floor with my nails, freaking out. And then at halftime, I realized I lost my diamond earring. I felt like Kim Kardashian, but without the money to replace it and with a serious football addiction. It was just tragic. And the second Penn State fat L is whenever I actually decided to travel to an away game and watch them lose in person. I just have to say that I do have a few questions to ask if you happen to be in
Ohio State fan.
Why does your school's alma mater make it sound like I'm in church? Why is your student section so painfully lame? Why do you guys say OHIO so many times that I literally spelled out the Pennsylvania State University before y'all stopped? And why do you guys sell alcohol in your stadium? Because I'm there for the football, not for all the drunk weirdos that randomly came up to me and were like, "You like Penn State, huh?" Overall though, it was hella fun, even though we did take a fat L, but whatever. Moving on, December. Of course, with December comes finals week. I studied, I would say, just the right amount, and I mixed it with just the right amount of insanity in order to completely finesse my grades, because your girl barely got an A-, but she got an A- or an A in every class that semester, so 19 credits can suck my. Now, January is where things got really, really interesting, because a few days before I was supposed to go back to school, I got into a car accident and concussed the heck out of my brain. On top of having to wear sunglasses around campus in the middle of the freezing cold winter and crying over simple algebra math problems that I randomly had to do for this one class for no frickin' reason because it was entirely unrelated, but my brain didn't work because I had a concussion. I also randomly became president of my Thon organization. Thon is a 46-hour dance marathon at Penn State that's huge. They raise millions of dollars every year, and I've been highly involved in it, and it raises money for kids with pediatric cancer to emotionally and financially support their families. There were supposed to be two other presidents for Thon 2020. One had to unfortunately take the semester off for some mental health issues, but the other was just kind of like incompetent. In February, thankfully, I was able to pull everything together and I motivated our organization enough to actually double the total that we had had for fundraising whenever I started, so that was really awesome. And then Thon Week was great as well. I wouldn't say I was necessarily vibing in February because of my concussion. That still was just not feeling too hot, and then just the general stress of college and pulling Thon together. But I was pretty excited because I actually got to take my very first supply chain class this past semester, and that's my major, if y'all didn't know. So it felt good to finally take a class that I was fully interested in. It only took 2 years almost, but I got to take one. In March, I knocked out my homework as early as possible because I wanted to have a stress-free spring break and then come back to school ready and cleansed and tanned. Yeah, I had no idea what was coming. While I was on spring break in Cancun with all of my best friends and having the greatest time ever, we were actually with my friend Taylor's boyfriend Tanner, and he goes to Kent State. and randomly at the beginning of the week, he got a text that was saying that his school was going to be canceled / online for the next 3 weeks, and we were all like, oh my god, wow, this situation's really starting to escalate. And then we got the same text a few days later, and then the borders were starting to close, and we were like, well, frick. A few days after I got home, Penn State announced that they were going to be closing for the rest of the semester, which really hit me hard. But that is when Pam's PSU branch campus had its official opening. If you guys have been following my quarantine series at all, then you would know that my mom basically became a little dean because my friend Emily and my boyfriend decided to quarantine with us and work for school and do all that stuff here, so we still kind of had that baby college environment, and I'm really happy that we got to do that because otherwise I would have gone a little crazy. In April, it was kind of all about adjusting to Zoom University, but honestly it wasn't too bad, mostly because I had my best friends right beside me, but we definitely did go a little bit crazy. I mean, you are beautiful! It was a new experience for all of us. Overall, it was kind of a positive experience, although it wasn't an ideal one, and I wouldn't have traded it for anything. Pam's PSU branch campus forever, people. In May, we threw my brother his very own prom. That was so exciting and fun. And then it was finals week. We had to make a group video in geography, and we knew this going into the class. And that's kind of part of the reason that me and my boyfriend took it together, because we were like, oh, group project, put me and you together on a video, like that's literally what I do. But then of course she decided,
let's make the groups random.
I of course carried the weight of the team and was just like, I'll edit the entire thing. All they had to do was record a short voiceover that I would piece together in my beautiful project. We ended up getting a 59 out of 60, so like shout out, we did amazing. But then I was mad because my boyfriend's group was kind of a freaking mess. Their initial video that was supposed to be 4 minutes was 12 minutes long. If y'all can just take a moment and appreciate the beginning of their first video.
11, and we are doing our video on the Grand Canyon.
So I told my shy little boyfriend, you know what, you gotta say something, you can't turn in a 12-minute video. So he did, and they cut it down to 5 minutes, I think, but it was still horribly edited, and they got a perfect score. What I learned is that I need to stop trying so hard, because it got me -1 and it got them a freaking perfect score. And to conclude out May, I will say that I did ace my finals. Yes, this is mostly because my professors all pretty much gave up and made them open note, therefore I felt like they were extremely easy, and I don't know why I paid full college tuition for it, but whatever. I got a 4.0, and so that was my entire sophomore year. If you guys want to hear more stories or see more live moments, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, because I'm always doing some stupid stuff on there. I mean, that's what college is, really. I love you all so much. Black Lives Matter. Please speak out. I have petitions for you to sign down below and ways to donate. I love you. Goodbye. My butt being big.